She said I never achieved anything, right there in front of her. Friends, her words sliced through me like a quiet blade, and when they laughed, it wasn't just laughter, it was mockery dressed in smiles. That day, I didn't argue, I didn't cry, I just smiled because I realized something powerful you don't destroy arrogance by shouting back. You destroy it by rising higher than it can ever reach. So if you've ever been insulted by someone you loved, if you've ever swallowed your tears and stayed silent just to keep peace, stay with me till the end of this video. And before I begin, tap that like button if you've ever been underestimated, and subscribe to this channel for more real stories where silence becomes power and pain transforms into victory. Because this is the story of how one cruel insult became the spark that rebuilt my entire life. It was an ordinary afternoon. Sunlight spilled through the living room and the aroma of fresh tea filled the house. My daughter-in-law had invited her friends. Over a small gathering, laughter echoing through the walls, I helped build. I stayed in the kitchen like I always did, making stacks, arranging cups, trying to make everything perfect because that's who I was. One of her friends complimented the home, saying how peaceful and beautiful it felt. I smiled quietly from the kitchen until I heard her voice. "Oh, please," she said, laughing. My mother-in-law didn't achieve anything. She just stays home and acts like she knows everything. The room went still for half a second, then the laughter came. Every word hit harder than the last. I froze. The spoon slipped from my hand, and in that silence, something inside me broke and then burned. But I didn't walk out. I didn't speak. I just kept serving tea with trembling hands and a forced smile, because in that moment I made a silent promise. I will make her eat those words, not with anger, but with achievement. That night I couldn't sleep. Her laughter echoed inside my head like a cruel melody. I sat by the window, watching the streetlights flicker, and thought of all the years I'd given raising my son, alone, sacrificing my youth, forgetting my own name just to build theirs. And now I was a joke in my own home. So I got up, walked to my cupboard, and opened a small wooden box I hadn't touched in decades. Inside were pieces of my old self-sketches, design notes, photos, certificates from the time when I dreamed of being a fashion designer. Tears rolled down my face as I whispered to myself, maybe I gave up too soon that night. I made a decision. No one, not even my own family, would ever call me useless again. The next morning, I signed up for an online fashion course. I was terrified. I could barely use a computer properly. But fear was nothing compared to what I felt that day in that living room, and that's how my second life began. The days that followed weren't easy. My fingers fumbled on the keyboard, my eyes strained from the screen's glow, and my mind, full of doubt, whispered, "You're too old." But every night I reminded myself, if she could laugh at me once, then I could make her watch me rise. Every day after, so I studied harder. I learned stitching, fabric cutting, online marketing, everything. Sometimes I'd mess up entire designs and cry silently, but then I'd pick up the scissors again and start over. Weeks turned into months while she scrolled her phone and gossiped with friends. I worked in silence. One day I uploaded a design online. It was a simple dress, hand stitched with care, and within hours a message popped up. "Can I order this in my size?" That single message lit a fire in me I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't about money, it was about proof that I still had purpose. Soon one order turned into five, into 50, and my name, my forgotten name, started spreading across social media as a small business. I called it Nora's Grace. A full year passed, then one day my daughter-in-law invited her friends again, the same faces, the same setting. But this time the conversation was different. "Have you seen that lady on Instagram?" One of them said her brand. Nora's Grace is everywhere, such talent. She's incredible, started late in life and still made it And then someone turned toward me, eyes wide. Wait, is that you? I smiled, calmly placing the tea tray on the table. Yes, I said, that's me. The silence that followed was priceless. Her face turned pale, her smile faded, and I didn't need to say another word. That was the moment Karma walked into my home quietly, gracefully, with tea in its hand and triumph in its heart. Later that night, she came to my room. Her tone was softer this time. Mom, I'm sorry for what I said that day. I looked at her, and for a moment, I saw my younger self, someone proud yet lost. I smiled and said, child, sometimes people break. US, just so we can rebuild ourselves. Stronger, you were my reminder. She looked down in silence, and I didn't need to say more because my success had already spoken for me louder than any argument ever could. That day, I learned something I want every woman to remember. Revenge doesn't have to scream. Sometimes it whispers through success. So if someone ever makes you feel small, don't fight them with anger. Fight them with growth. Use their words as fuel, their laughter as motivation, their doubt as your drive, because silence backed by progress is the loudest kind of justice. And one day, just like me, they'll look at you and realize they were laughing at a woman who was quietly building her crown. Tell me in the comments, have you ever been insulted by someone who doubted your worth and turned it into motivation? Tap like if you believe success is the best revenge. And subscribe for more stories where silence becomes justice and pain becomes purpose. Share this video with someone who needs to remember. You don't have to fight for validation, you just have to rise quietly, because even flowers bloom after being buried.